For centuries, we've looked up at the night sky and just naturally assumed something pretty basic. Planets belong to stars, right? We're bound to our sun in this perfect cosmic dance. It gives us light, warmth, the very seasons that define our existence here on Earth. We honestly thought this was just a universal law. But what if I told you that the space between the stars isn't actually empty? What if it's literally teeming with massive, pitch-black, sunless planets wandering completely alone? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're leaving the safety of our solar system way behind to hunt down the actual ghosts of the cosmos. There's this one quote from the research that just perfectly sets the stage for us. It says, "Imagine a world completely detached from reality." And that is exactly what we're talking about here. Massive, utterly dark planets drifting through the frozen, infinite void of interstellar space. There's no star to orbit, no sun to light up the sky, absolutely no warmth to sustain them, just total silence. These cosmic orphans are moving through the shadows, totally hidden from our eyes. They completely break the fundamental rule that we thought governed the entire universe. So we call these nomad worlds, rogue planets. And to really wrap our heads around them, we've got to understand how they ended up out there to begin with. See, space isn't just this place of perfect, peaceful order. It's actually a realm of violent chaos. Billions of years ago, during the messy birth of alien solar systems, cosmic gravity played this deadly, violent game of musical chairs. Giant gas worlds and rocky planets clashed, their orbits crossing in a massive gravitational tug-of-war. And in these battles, well, there are always winners and there are always losers. The losers were violently ejected, just completely kicked out of their home systems by the immense gravity of their sibling planets or their own closing star, and thrown out into the endless, freezing dark, anchorless and doomed to wander for eternity. Now, for the longest time, these rogue planets were basically just mathematical ghosts, theories hiding in astrophysics equations. Because they don't emit any light of their own and they don't have a star to reflect light from, finding one is literally like trying to find a single black needle in a pitch-dark room from a million miles away. But against all odds, astronomers actually found a way to see the invisible. They used this mind-bending phenomenon predicted by Albert Einstein himself called gravitational microlensing. Here's how it works. When a rogue planet drifts directly in front of a distant background star, its massive gravity acts just like a giant cosmic magnifying glass. It bends and warps the light of that distant star, making it briefly brighten up. We're talking microscopic flashes of light out in the dark. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference in how we look for these things. Normally, we spot planets because they either reflect their star's light or they block a tiny, tiny fraction of it when they cross in front. But rogue planets? They play by a completely different set of rules. Because they are totally invisible, we can only detect them through their gravitational footprint, that one fleeting moment they magnify a background star. And through these microscopic flashes, a pretty terrifying and awe-inspiring truth was finally revealed to astronomers. Get this, the universe is absolutely crowded with these ghosts. Recent data actually suggests that for every single star you see shining in the night sky, there could be dozens of these dark, invisible worlds drifting silently through the void. Dozens! They might honestly outnumber the actual stars in our Milky Way galaxy. So to put that into perspective, the space between the stars is not some vast empty desert like we thought. It's an incredibly crowded highway of wandering giants. Now, if you were to somehow stand on the surface of one of these rogue planets, you would need way more than a heavy winter coat. It would honestly challenge your very sanity. You'd be staring out at a world of perpetual, absolute ink. No morning, no noon, no night. No horizon ever glowing with the promise of a sunrise. Just cold, distant needles of starlight that literally never change. And the temperature? It drops to near absolute zero. We're talking about a cold so intense that the actual atmosphere of the planet freezes solid and then rains down onto the ground as nitrogen and methane ice. You'd literally be standing on a world wrapped in a blanket of its own frozen air. Okay, but here is where things get truly wild. And this is exactly what makes these worlds so fascinating. Despite this apocalyptic, frozen nightmare on the surface, scientists have uncovered a completely shocking astrobiological paradox. Some of these rogue planets might actually harbor alien life. I know, no way, right? It sounds completely impossible. How on Earth can a world totally devoid of a sun, frozen to its very core, support life? Well, the secret doesn't lie up in the sky. It's hidden deep beneath the ice. So how exactly is this possible? The secret is gravity. Let's say a rogue planet is a massive gas giant, kind of like Jupiter.
It could have dragged an entire system of moons along with it when it got ejected into the dark. As it drifts, its massive gravitational pull constantly squeezes and stretches those orbiting moons. Imagine kneading a cold piece of clay in your hands until it gets warm. This massive physical stress generates extreme internal friction, a process called tidal heating. That heat actually melts the ice from the inside out, carving out vast, hidden liquid oceans. Deep beneath miles of solid ice, you could have hydrothermal vents pumping warmth and vital minerals straight into these hidden alien seas.
Now, what's really interesting here is just how extreme this duality is. Up above ground, you've got this dead, near absolute zero surface covered in frozen methane and nitrogen ice, just sitting there in pitch blackness. But directly below that miles-thick ice shield, it is a completely different world. You have an intensely hot core driven by leftover formation pressure and radioactive decay, swirling liquid oceans, and thriving hydrothermal vents that are completely protected from the deadly vacuum of open space. This forces us to rethink absolutely everything we know about biology. In these hidden seas, entire alien ecosystems could be thriving in the pitch black. They'd be surviving entirely on geothermal energy and tidal friction. These creatures would live, evolve, and die completely unaware that their entire home is rocketing through the cosmic void at millions of miles per hour. It's a world where the very concept of a sun literally does not even exist. I mean, it totally forces us to redefine what a habitable zone actually looks like. And the mysteries of the void, they don't stop at just rocky ice worlds or wandering gas giants. Some of these nomadic entities completely blur the line between what's a planet and what's a star. We call these guys brown dwarfs. They are essentially failed stars. They weren't quite massive enough to ignite nuclear fusion in their cores, but they are way too massive to be considered ordinary planets. So they just drift through space like smoldering embers, glowing with this really eerie, dim infrared heat. And get this, they have fierce, chaotic atmospheres whipped by winds faster than any hurricane on Earth and clouds made of molten iron rain and hot silicate dust. They are literally the ultimate cosmic monsters ruling the empty darkness. Which brings us to a pretty terrifying but highly relevant question for us here at home. What actually happens if one of these ghosts crosses paths with our solar system? Now, space is incredibly vast, so a direct collision is highly, highly improbable. But a rogue planet doesn't actually need to hit us to destroy us. Its gravity alone acts like a giant cosmic wrecking ball. If a dark giant, say several times the mass of Jupiter, just passed through the outer edges of our solar system, it could destabilize the Oort cloud. That would send a catastrophic storm of millions of comets hurtling straight toward the inner planets. Or even worse, if it drifted a little too close, its gravitational pull could literally fling Earth completely out of its stable orbit around the sun. If that happened, Earth would become a rogue planet itself. And the timeline, it would be absolutely brutal. The oceans would freeze over within weeks. The atmosphere would rapidly collapse and freeze right out of the sky. Humanity's only hope for survival would be to adapt those exact same astrobiological strategies we were just talking about. We'd be forced to retreat deep, deep underground, relying entirely on our planet's internal geothermal energy to survive, as Earth joins the silent, endless march into the interstellar night. The study of rogue planets truly changes everything we thought we knew about the cosmos. It proves that the universe is far more dynamic, unpredictable, and frankly, dangerous than our peaceful night sky suggests. It's a stark reminder that our Earth is this incredibly fragile oasis, protected by a loyal star, but surrounded by a dark ocean of eternal exile. As our telescopes keep getting more powerful, we are going to find more of these lonely wanderers and hopefully unlock the secrets held within those hidden oceans. But it leaves us with one final, haunting thought to ponder to wrap up today's explainer. If Earth was suddenly stripped from the sun and joined the interstellar night, could we survive as the very ghosts we're currently trying to study? Keep that in mind the next time you look up at the